Jocks had never been good at parties. He didn't mind small gatherings, but big crowds always made his palms sweaty and his words stumble over themselves. And tonight was one of those nights. The colony's community hall on Nova Gaia was buzzing with life. Floating lanterns hovered in the zero-gravity atrium, casting warm glows over the crowd. People laughed, swapped stories, and shared snacks made from nutrient-rich hydrocrops. For a moment, Jocks wished he could simply vanish into the shadows or at least find a quiet corner to stare at the swirling viewports showing. The red and gold sky outside, he wasn't here for the party itself. He was here because of Lyra. Lyra, the girl he had admired for months, with her sharp mind and kind smile, had invited him. And somehow, despite all his nervous planning, he had agreed to come, hoping that maybe, just maybe, he could talk to her without tripping over his words. Jocks' first few minutes were uneventful. He hovered near a table of floating fruit spheres, trying to make himself look natural while sneaking glances at Lyra, who was laughing with her friends. That's when he noticed her mother, Mara. She was standing across the room. Chatting with other parents, her presence calm and radiant, there was something magnetic about the way she moved. Not flashy, but confident, graceful. Jocks blinked. His brain, however, decided this was the perfect time to betray him. He thought, she is. Wow, she's so beautiful. And without thinking, his mouth spoke before his brain could intervene. Your mom's prettier than any girl I've dated, he said aloud. The words hung in the air. Jocks froze, realizing immediately that he had just said something completely inappropriate. His face burned as he looked around for some kind of escape, but there was no way to disappear in zero gravity. But Mara, she only smiled. Not a judgmental smile, not a scolding one. A soft, knowing smile that somehow made Jocks feel both mortified and strangely at ease. Oh, she said, her voice gentle but amused. Well, thank you. Jocks didn't know how to respond. He stammered something incoherent, wishing fervently that the floor would open beneath him, more that he could at least teleport to the other side of the room. Lyra, noticing the exchange, tilted her head. A small smile playing at the corners of her lips. You're funny, Lyra said, and Jocks felt a little of the tension ease, though his embarrassment still wrapped around him like a heavy cloak. Mara laughed softly. The kind of laugh that made people feel like they were allowed to be human, awkward and all. You're not the first to say something like that, she said lightly, but most people don't have the courage to say it out loud. You're bold. Jocks wanted to shrink into nothingness. Bold. That sounded polite, but he knew it was really just another way of saying, you just made a huge social mistake. Trying to redeem himself, Jocks mumbled, I didn't mean anything weird. Mara's smile didn't fade. I know. It's fine. Just try to remember to breathe next time. She winked. And just like that, the moment passed. Somehow, instead of feeling like the world had ended, Jocks felt lighter. There was something about Mara's demeanor, her calm confidence, that made him feel that maybe, just maybe, humans could handle social blunders without catastrophe. The rest of the evening was a blur. Jocks drifted through the party, trying not to overthink his awkward introduction. He floated past tables of zero-gravity deserts, nodded at familiar faces, and watched Lyra laugh. He realized he was smiling for the first time that night without feeling tension in his chest. By the time the party started to wind down, the lanterns dimmed and the soft hum of the colony's life support systems filled the hall. Jocks found himself outside the community room, staring at the viewports. Nova Gaia's sky was a swirl of gold and red, the twin suns dipping below the horizon, casting long shadows on the crystalline city. He felt small, but not insignificant. And somehow, Mara's smile kept replaying in his mind. As he leaned against the viewport, Lyra joined him. You've been quiet tonight, she said softly. Jocks hesitated, then laughed nervously. I guess. Just thinking about everything. It's a lot. Lyra smiled, eyes bright with curiosity. Everything, huh? Even meeting my mom? He froze. Meeting her mom was exactly what he had been thinking about, and the thought alone made him stumble over his words. Yeah, that too. Lyra laughed gently, nudging him playfully. She seems nice. She is, Jocks admitted. He took a deep breath, trying to sound casual. Actually, she's amazing. Really calm, smart, funny, all of that. Lyra tilted her head, studying him. You're nervous. I am, he said honestly, but in a good way. Sort of. Lyra chuckled, then gestured toward the stars. You know, the first time I met your family, I was just as nervous. But it's funny, sometimes adults aren't as scary as we think. They're just people. Jocks nodded, feeling an unexpected connection. Maybe that was what Mara had shown him tonight. That confidence and kindness could make even the most awkward situations feel safe. The conversation drifted to other topics. The colony's latest projects. New plants in the hydro gardens. The upcoming supply shipment from Earth. Yet, despite the casual nature of their chat, Jocks couldn't stop thinking about Mora's smile. It wasn't just pretty, it was wise, calm, reassuring. In a way, it reminded him that human beings could shine even in the strangest and most challenging environments. As the twin suns disappeared completely below the horizon, the city lights of Nova Gaia blinked to life. Jocks realized he had spent hours lost in thought, completely forgetting about the initial embarrassment of his comment. Somehow, Mara had taken something awkward and transformed it into a moment of human connection. And Jocks felt a strange sense of hope, feeling that maybe, on this distant planet, humans could adapt, thrive, and even make meaningful bonds across generations. Finally, as he prepared to head back to his quarters, Jocks looked back at the community hall. Through the window, he could see Mara helping another young colonist with a tricky device. Laughing lightly, calm, and steady as ever. And for the first time that night, Jocks smiled without hesitation. The awkward words, the stuttered apologies, the fear of judgment, all of it seemed to fade into the background. What remained was simple. The realization that humans, in all their flaws and quirks, could be genuinely inspiring. And maybe, just maybe, bold words spoken with honesty could open doors to unexpected friendships, guidance, and growth. And with that thought, Jocks floated into the night, ready to face the strange, wonderful, and challenging life that Nova Gaia life itself had in store for him. The next morning, Jocks woke to the soft hum of Nova Gaia's life support systems. Sunlight filtered through the translucent walls of his quarters, casting golden stripes across his workbench. He rubbed his eyes, still feeling the echoes of last night's party. For a moment, he replayed Mara's smile over and over in his mind. It wasn't just pretty, it carried warmth, patience, and a quiet wisdom that made him feel safe in a way he hadn't experienced before. Jocks knew it was unusual to feel so strongly about someone he had barely met. He didn't intend to think about Mara much. Lyra was the reason he had come to the party, after all. But something about her mother lingered in his thoughts. Not in a romantic sense, no. It was different. Mara radiated confidence and kindness that reminded him of why humans could achieve amazing things. Even on a harsh, distant planet, by mid-morning, Jocks found himself drifting toward the hydro gardens, hoping a little fresh aurora as close as Nova Gaia had to it would clear his mind. The hydro gardens were a labyrinth of floating plants, their leaves glinting with dew-like droplets of recycled moisture. Colonists floated between the rows of fruits, vegetables, and flowers, adjusting nutrient sprays and monitoring growth, and then he saw her. Mara. She was kneeling, or rather hovering, over a delicate cluster of zero-gravity orchids, gently adjusting their nutrient mist. Her movements were deliberate, calm, and precise. Even from a distance, she seemed to exude a quiet authority that was both reassuring and inspiring. Jocks hesitated at the edge of the garden, unsure if he should approach. But before he could decide, Mara looked up. Her eyes met his, and she gave him a small, welcoming smile. "Good morning, Jocks," she said, her voice gentle. "Are you here to help, or just admire the plants?" Jocks chuckled nervously. "I admire mostly. I mean, I like plants, but I'm not very good at growing them." Mara's smile widened, not mockingly, but warmly. "Everyone starts somewhere. Come, I'll show you a few things. It's easier than it looks. He floated closer, trying to imitate her calm demeanor. Mara handed him a small cluster of roots and leaves, explaining how to adjust the nutrient flow. Jocks fumbled at first, accidentally sending a tiny spray of water toward a nearby flower. Mara simply laughed softly. "Don't worry," she said. "Even the best of us make mistakes. The plants won't mind." Over the next hour, Jocks and Mara worked together. She showed him how to balance nutrients for the orchids, how to monitor growth patterns, and how to detect when a plant needed more light. He was surprised at how natural it felt to work with her. Mara had a way of explaining things that made even complicated processes seem simple and achievable, you know, she said, as Jocks adjusted a nutrient stream. "Humans are amazing. We've come from Earth to a new planet, learned to survive here, and we're making it thrive. That's not something to take lightly." Oh, Jocks nodded. "Yeah, I guess we really can do a lot. If we try?" Mara smiled, her eyes twinkling. "Exactly. It's not about being perfect. It's about learning, helping, and never giving up." By the time they finished, Jocks felt a surprising sense of accomplishment. Not only had he learned something new, but he had also shared that moment with someone who genuinely believed in his potential. Mara didn't treat him like a child or make him feel foolish. She treated him like someone who could grow, learn, can contribute. As they floated back toward the central walkway of the garden, Jocks realized that Mara's presence had become strangely comforting. He could feel his nervousness from last night slowly melting away. For the first time, he understood that human strength wasn't just about skills or knowledge. It was also about guidance, encouragement, and patience. Later that afternoon, while Jocks was reviewing maintenance logs for the colony's energy converters, he heard a soft knock at his quarters. He opened the door to find Mara standing there, holding a small tray of synthesized snacks. "I thought you might like a snack," she said with a smile. "You've been working hard, and I remembered you said you liked these." Jocks blinked, touched by the gesture. "Thanks, that's really thoughtful of you." "Allah?" Mara shrugged lightly. "It's nothing. I just like helping people find their footing. Sometimes it's the little things that make a big difference." Jocks invited her in, and they sat together, sharing the small meal. Conversation flowed easily, moving from the colony's technical systems to stories about life on Earth before the colonists had arrived. Mara spoke with humor and honesty, recounting small moments of her own awkwardness when she had first come to Nova Gaia. Jocks found himself laughing, not at her mistakes, but at the shared human experience, the understanding that everyone struggled, learned, and grew. Over the next few weeks, this routine continued. Jocks would occasionally find Mara in the gardens, in the workshop, or simply walking along the colony's corridors. Each time, she offered guidance, encouragement, and gentle advice. She showed him how to troubleshoot equipment, organize work efficiently, and even approach social situations with more confidence. Through these small, repeated interactions, a bond formed. Jocks began to see Mara not just as Lyra's mother, but as a mentor, a guide, and a friend. She never pressured him, never judged him, and never made him feel inadequate. Her belief in human potential and in his own was unwavering. One afternoon, as they worked on calibrating a new solar array on the colony's roof, Jocks asked, "Why do you do this?" "Helping everyone, teaching all the time." "Don't you get tired?" Mara paused, adjusting a small solar panel. "Sometimes," she admitted, "but seeing people learn, grow, and succeed, it makes all the effort worth it. Humans are capable of extraordinary things. I want to remind them of that whenever I can." Jocks nodded thoughtfully. He realized that Mara's calm confidence and encouragement mirrored the best qualities of humanity itself: resilient, creative, and always striving for improvement. In a world of floating cities and alien landscapes, her presence reminded him that humans could still shine through their curiosity, kindness, and determination. One day, while they were taking a break from the garden, Mara handed Jocks a small notebook. "I thought this might help," she said. "You can jot down ideas, observations, or questions. Sometimes writing things down helps us see solutions we might miss otherwise." Jocks took the notebook, feeling both gratitude and awe. It wasn't just a notebook, it was a symbol of trust and belief in his potential. He realized then that human connections, mentorship, friendship, and encouragement were as vital as technology or resources on this new planet. Weeks turned into months. Jocks grew more confident, more capable, and more willing to take initiative. He learned to repair colony equipment, optimize resource systems, and even mentor younger colonists in small tasks. All the while, Mara remained a quiet, guiding presence, offering insight when needed and stepping back when he was ready to try on his own. One evening, after a long day of work, Jocks found himself reflecting on the strange chain of events that had led him here. A single awkward comment at a party, "Your mom's prettier than any girl I've dated," had opened the door to an unexpected friendship and mentorship. He realized that honesty, boldness, and the willingness to connect with others could lead to experiences he could never have imagined. And for the first time, Jocks understood something profound. Humans were remarkable, not just for their inventions or survival skills, but for their ability to lift each other up, to guide, support, and inspire. Mara's smile, which had seemed so simple at the party, now made perfect sense. It wasn't just a smile, it was a reflection of human potential, patience, and encouragement as Jocks prepared to leave the workshop for the night. He looked over at Mara. She was tidying tools, humming softly, calm and steady as ever. He smiled to himself, realizing how much he had grown since that awkward first encounter, and he felt an unmistakable sense of gratitude, not just for her guidance, but for the reminder that humans could be extraordinary, even in a world far from Earth. For the first time, Jocks didn't just admire Lyra or worry about awkward social encounters. He admired humanity itself, the resilience, curiosity, and kindness that allowed them to thrive on Nova Gaia. And he knew, deep down, that this was only the beginning. The calm of Nova Gaia's colony rarely lasted long. The twin suns had barely begun their morning glow when the colony's central alert system hummed sharply through every corridor. Red lights flashed along the walls, reflecting on polished floors and holographic displays. Jocks jolted upright in his quarters, heart racing. Something was wrong. He raced toward the control hub, his tools and notebook clutched in his hands. The corridors were busy with colonists floating in zero gravity, moving quickly but efficiently. The colony's life depended on teamwork, and in moments like this, every human being mattered. At the control hub, Mara was already there, calmly analyzing the data. The colony's atmospheric stabilizers, the complex systems that regulated oxygen levels, pressure, and temperature were failing. Without immediate attention, the problem could spread, affecting the entire habitat. "Jocks," Mara said, her voice steady, "we need all hands on this. Think you can help?" Jocks swallowed hard. He had learned many skills from Mara over the past weeks, but this was different. The colony's safety was at stake. He nodded, trying to steady his nerves. "I'll do my best," good Mara replied. "That's all anyone can ask." The team quickly organized. Engineers and technicians split tasks, running diagnostics and inspecting systems. Jocks floated toward one of the primary stabilizers, recalling Mara's lessons about system flow and energy calibration. He studied the readings, noting the unusual fluctuations in pressure and temperature. "Looks like the main regulator is unstable," he reported, pointing at the holographic display. "It's cycling too fast, and the backup isn't syncing properly." Mara nodded, impressed by his observation. "Good catch. Now we need a solution fast." Jocks paused. He could follow the standard repair protocols, but he knew that would take too long. Time was critical. He thought back to all the guidance Mara had given him, observing carefully, thinking creatively, trusting his instincts, and acting decisively. An idea formed. "What if we reroute some of the secondary channels to stabilize the flow temporarily?" he suggested. "It's not standard procedure, but it might give us the time we need to fix the main regulator." Mara studied him, eyes sharp but approving. "It's risky, but it could work. Let's do it." With Mara's encouragement, Jocks led a small team to implement the temporary reroute. Colonists moved in unison, connecting conduits, adjusting valves, and monitoring readouts. The seconds felt like hours. Fluctuation in the system sending a spike of tension through Jox's chest. Pressures stabilizing. One technician called out, "Temperature's leveling too." Jox allowed himself a small smile. The reroute was working. He continued monitoring, making minor adjustments as Mara guided him from the control hub. Together, they coordinated the team, ensuring that every step was precise and effective. After an intense hour, the stabilizers returned to full function. The red alert lights faded, replaced by the soft green glow of normal operation. Colonists floated around the control hub, exchanging relieved smiles and small nods of gratitude. Mara turned to Jox, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You did well," she said simply. "Your quick thinking saved a lot of trouble today." Jox's cheeks flushed, not from embarrassment this time, but pride. He realized something profound. Humans were capable of extraordinary things, especially when they worked together, trusted each other, and combined knowledge with courage. Later, as the adrenaline faded, Jox wandered toward the colony's observation deck. Outside, Novagaya's sky glowed with sunset hues, twin suns dipping below jagged mountains and crystalline valleys. He reflected on the day's events. Without Mara's guidance, without the lessons she had shared, he might have hesitated, panicked, or missed the solution entirely. Lyra joined him quietly. "You did amazing today," she said, her voice soft but sincere. "I couldn't have done it without Mara," Jox admitted. She's incredible. She taught me how to think, how to act, and how to believe in myself." Lyra smiled, nodding. "She's special, isn't she?" "Yeah," Jox said, watching the twin suns disappear completely. "She makes me want to be better, to do more, to actually make a difference." In the days that followed, the incident with the stabilizers became a quiet but powerful lesson for the colony. Jox was no longer just a nervous young engineer. He had proven he could handle critical situations, think creatively under pressure, and contribute to the survival and progress of Novagaya. And he knew it was all connected to the values Mara had instilled: observation, patience, courage, and confidence in human potential. One afternoon, while repairing an energy conduit on the outer ring of the colony, Jox found Mara waiting for him, notebook in hand. "I saw how you handled the stabilizers," she said. "You didn't just react, you led, observed, and adapted. That's what humans do best." Jox floated closer, feeling a mix of pride and humility. "Thanks. I learned from the best." Mara's smile was gentle. "And now it's your turn to teach others. Humans shine when we share knowledge, when we guide and support each other. Don't forget that." Jox nodded thoughtfully. He realized that his journey was more than just technical skills or survival. It was about contributing to the community, inspiring confidence, and helping others realize their potential. Humanity's true strength, he understood, was not in individual brilliance alone, but in collective effort, mentorship, and trust. That evening, as he walked through the corridors toward the Hydro Gardens, Jox encountered a group of younger colonists struggling with a maintenance module. Without hesitation, he stepped in to guide them, recalling every lesson Mara had shared. He showed them how to read the schematics, adjust the circuits, and troubleshoot the problem. The children's eyes lit up with understanding and excitement as they successfully completed the repair. Watching them, Jox felt a deep sense of satisfaction. He realized that today, he wasn't just applying knowledge, he was passing it on. He was part of the chain that kept Novagaya alive, thriving, and full of human potential. Later, as night fell over the colony, Jox floated to the observation deck once more. The twin moons had risen, casting silver light over the crystalline structures of the city. He thought about the stabilizer crisis, the lessons Mara had taught him, and the teamwork that had saved the day. For the first time, he felt fully connected not just to Mara, or to Lyra, but to the spirit of humanity itself. Humans were capable of extraordinary achievements, not because of individual brilliance alone, but because of their ability to learn, adapt, and support each other. And in that quiet moment, Jocks realized something else. Even a single smile, a single word of encouragement, or a small act of guidance could ripple outward, shaping not only personal growth, but the survival and progress of an entire community. Mara appeared beside him silently, her presence as calming as ever. "You did well today," she said softly. "Remember this feeling, this sense of accomplishment. It's a reminder of what humans can do when we work together." Jocks nodded, feeling a profound sense of gratitude. "I will, and thank you, Mara, for everything." She smiled, placing a hand lightly on his shoulder. "The future depends on people like you, Jocks. Remember that." As he watched the moons cast their gentle glow across the city, Jocks felt a surge of determination. He would continue to learn, to grow, and to help others. He would honor the lessons Mara had shared. He would prove through action and perseverance that humanity, no matter how far from Earth, was capable of incredible things. And so, under the silver moons of Nova Gaia, Jocks understood the truth of what Mara had always shown him. Human ingenuity, courage, and compassion could shine even in the most alien environments. And when humans worked together, guided by wisdom and trust, there was no challenge too great, no obstacle too insurmountable, and no dream too distant. Weeks had passed since the atmospheric stabilizer incident, and Nova Gaia was settling into its daily rhythm. Jocks had grown more confident, applying the lessons Mara had taught him. Not just in technical work, but in connecting with others. He found himself floating along the colony corridors, smiling more freely, offering help without hesitation, and noticing the small details that made life together in the colony smooth and efficient. One morning, Jocks arrived at the hydro gardens to find Mara already tending to the plants. Her calm presence filled the space as she adjusted nutrient streams and checked the health of the floating orchids. The air shimmered with the glow of the sunlight streaming through the translucent walls. "Good morning," Jocks Mara said, looking up from her work. "You've been helping a lot lately. How are you feeling?" Jocks smiled, feeling the warmth of her attention. "I'm good. I feel like I understand more now, not just about the colony, but about people too." Mara nodded. "That's important. Technology can keep us alive, but human connection keeps us thriving. Never forget that." Jocks thought about that. In the past weeks, he had seen how small gestures helping a colonist repair a module, offering guidance to a younger worker, or simply listening to someone's concerns could create bonds and improve life for everyone. Mara's words had a deeper meaning now. Survival wasn't just about machines or science. It was about empathy, trust, and teamwork. That afternoon, the colony's communication system pinged with a request from a neighboring settlement. A small supply transport had encountered minor mechanical problems, and they needed advice from Nova Gaia's engineers. Jocks, feeling more confident, volunteered to help remotely. "Remember," Mara said, as he prepared the link, "explain clearly, be patient, and guide them step by step. Humans respond best to encouragement as much as instruction." Jocks nodded and began working with the team. Over the next hour, he guided the remote engineers through the repair process, using simple language, clear instructions, and constant reassurance. The transport crew completed the repairs successfully. The gratitude in their messages warmed Jocks' heart. After the session, Mara approached him with a smile. "See, you just made life easier for people far from here. That's the kind of connection that matters. Humans thrive not in isolation, but through support." Jocks reflected on that. He realized he had been focused on technical skill for so long that he had underestimated the power of communication, empathy, and encouragement. Helping others, listening to their struggles, and sharing knowledge were as important as fixing machines or growing food. Days later, Jocks encountered a younger colonist named Rena, struggling with the new water recycling system. She was frustrated and about to give up. "Hey, Rena," Jocks said gently, "want me to help?" Her eyes brightened with relief. "Would you? I just can't figure out why it keeps fluctuating." Jocks guided her through the system, not just telling her what to do, but asking questions. letting her think and praising her small successes. With patience and encouragement, Rena completed the adjustments herself. "Thank you, Jocks," she exclaimed. "I never thought I could do it." Jocks smiled, remembering Mara's words. This was exactly what she had meant: teaching others, supporting them, and building confidence. The colony's strength didn't just come from its technology. It came from the humans who lived there, learning from each other and sharing knowledge. That evening, Jocks found Mara in the central courtyard, overseeing a group of colonists practicing emergency drills. The group moved efficiently, each person supporting the other, following clear instructions, and maintaining calm under pressure. "Look at them," Mara said quietly, gesturing at the team. "Do you see what humans can do when we connect, guide, and trust one another?" Jocks nodded. "I do. It's amazing. Everyone has a role, and everyone matters." Mara smiled. "Exactly. And the more you practice connection, the stronger the colony becomes. Technology can fail, resources can run low, but human trust and support, that is unbreakable." Jocks thought about the smile Mara had given him at the party months ago. That small, simple gesture had led him here, learning not just skills, but the deeper lessons of connection and empathy. He understood now that Mara's influence went beyond teaching. She had shown him what it meant to be part of a community, to value others, and to nurture human potential. The next day, Jocks noticed Lyra sitting alone on a small observation platform, looking at the red and gold sky. "He floated over." "Hey," he said softly, "thinking about something." Lyra smiled faintly. "Just thinking. The sky looks different today. I like how it changes." Jocks nodded. "It's beautiful. Kind of like people, isn't it? We change, we learn, and we grow." Lyra looked at him, surprised by the depth of his observation. "You're right. You've changed a lot too, Jocks," he shrugged, trying to hide his pride. "I've learned from someone. Mara helped me see that humans can do amazing things when we connect and support each other. It's not just about being smart. It's about caring and guiding." Lyra's smile widened. "I see that now. You're inspiring, Jocks, and it makes me think maybe we're all stronger together." That afternoon, a small community event was held in the central plaza. Colonists shared stories, displayed inventions, and presented improvements for the colony's daily life. Jocks noticed that he was no longer shy. He joined the conversations, offered advice, and celebrated others' successes. Mara watched quietly from a distance, smiling at how far he had come. During the event, a younger engineer approached Jocks, nervous and hesitant. Jocks, could you help me with a new energy circuit design?" "I don't want to mess it up." Jocks nodded. "Of course. Let's figure it out together." As he worked with the engineer, he realized how naturally he now applied Mara's lessons' encouragement. Patience, observation, and clear guidance. Watching the young engineer gain confidence and succeed filled him with a deep satisfaction. He was passing forward the kindness and wisdom he had received. That night, Jocks returned to his quarters, tired but content. He thought about everything he had learned: the importance of human connection, the power of empathy, and the strength that came from trust and support. Technology was vital, but the bonds between humans, friendship, mentorship, guidance were the foundation of survival and growth on Nova Gaia. Mara appeared at his door unexpectedly, carrying a small book of sketches. "I thought you might enjoy these," she said. "They're ideas for future projects in the colony. Maybe you can add your thoughts." Jocks took the book, feeling honored. "Thank you. I really appreciate it." Mara smiled. "You're welcome. Just remember, it's not just the ideas that matter. It's the people who bring them to life, who care, who connect. That's the true strength of humanity." As Mara floated away, Jocks opened the book, filled with designs, plans, and creative concepts. He realized that every invention, every improvement, every small act of guidance depended on human connection. And that thought made him feel a deep sense of purpose in the quiet of his quarters. Jocks reflected on the journey from that awkward party night to now. A single smile, a simple act of patience, and a willingness to connect had changed everything. Mara had shown him the value of empathy, mentorship, and human trust. Lyra had shown him how inspiration could spread through relationships. And now, Jocks was beginning to see how he could contribute, guiding others, nurturing confidence, and building a stronger lead, more resilient community. For the first time, he truly understood the power of humanity, not just as individuals, but as a connected, supportive network capable of overcoming challenges, learning and thriving together. And in that moment, under the soft glow of Nova Gaia's moons, Jocks made a silent promise. He would continue to grow, to help, and to inspire. He would honor the lessons he had received. And he would help others realize that humans could achieve incredible things when they worked together, trusted each other, and nurtured one another. Humanity's strength, he realized, wasn't measured in machines, cities, or even survival. It was measured in connection, kindness, and the courage to lift others up. And that was a lesson he would carry for the rest of his life. Months had passed since Jocks first awkwardly spoke to Mara at the colony's party. Nova Gaia had grown even busier, its twin suns rising and setting over the crystalline cityscape. With a rhythm that reminded everyone of the small but vital role humans played in their new home, Jocks had changed. He was no longer the nervous, unsure young engineer who hovered at parties, worried about tripping over words. He had learned, grown, and experienced the power of human connection in a way he never imagined. He understood that true strength lay not just in intelligence or technical skill, but in empathy, mentorship, and shared effort. The colony was hosting a festival that evening to celebrate its progress and the achievements of its residents. Lanterns floated gently in zero gravity. Children ran through the corridors laughing, and the scent of freshly cultivated hydro vegetables filled the air. Holographic displays projected charts of energy efficiency, garden yields, and supply improvements. For Jocks, it was a reminder of how far they had come, how much humans could accomplish when they worked together. Jocks drifted toward the central plaza, where Mara was quietly observing the festivities. She had always been a calm presence, guiding and supporting without ever demanding attention. And tonight she looked just as serene, a small smile playing at her lips. That same smile he had seen at the party months ago, the one that had changed everything. He approached her, feeling a mixture of gratitude and awe. "Mara," he said softly, "it's amazing, isn't it? How much everyone has accomplished." She nodded. "Yes, it is. But it's not just the accomplishments. It's the people, the connections, the trust, the willingness to help one another that make it truly remarkable." Jocks thought about all he had learned. The crisis with the atmospheric stabilizers, mentoring younger colonists, guiding engineers remotely, and even the small lessons in patience and observation from the hydro gardens. Each experience had reinforced one truth. Humans were extraordinary because of their ability to connect, learn, and support each other. As they spoke, Lyra joined them, smiling brightly. "Jocks, you've changed so much. Everyone notices how much you've grown. You're confident, helpful, and inspiring." Jocks blushed, but smiled back. "I couldn't have done it without Mara." Mara's smile widened, warm and approving. "You've done the work, Jocks. You've taken lessons and applied them. That's what matters." The festival continued, filled with music, laughter, and celebration. Colonists shared stories of their progress, displayed creative inventions, and congratulated each other on improvements that made daily life easier. Jocks found himself moving among them, offering guidance, encouragement, and support wherever it was needed. He helped a young engineer troubleshoot a minor power circuit, advised a hydro garden team on nutrient cycles, and simply listened when someone needed reassurance. Every interaction reminded him of what Mara had taught him: human potential was limitless when nurtured with patience, mentorship, and trust. Jocks realized that the colony thrived not because of machinery or technology alone, but because humans had each other. Later, as the evening light dimmed and the lanterns glowed more brightly, a group of children floated toward the observation deck, laughing as they chased miniature drones. Jocks joined them, showing them how to program the drones to follow simple flight patterns. The children's eyes sparkled with curiosity and excitement as they learned from him. He remembered how Mara had guided him in the same way, not forcing him, but encouraging, explaining, and letting him try for himself. Now, he was passing it forward, helping the next generation of colonists realize their potential. As he floated back toward the central plaza, Mara approached him again. "Jocks," she said gently, "do you understand why I smiled at you that night?" He paused, thinking back to the awkward words he had blurted at the party. "Your mom's prettier than any girl I've dated." At the time, it had felt like a mistake, a moment of embarrassment he wanted to forget. But Mara's smile had been patient, kind, and knowing. "I think so," he said slowly. "You saw something in me, potential, courage, even when I was awkward or nervous." Mara nodded. "Exactly. Sometimes it only takes a small gesture, a smile, a word, a moment of encouragement to help someone see what they are capable of." Humans grow not because of fear or pressure, but because of trust, support, and belief in one another. Jocks felt a warmth in his chest, a deep gratitude he couldn't put into words. That simple smile had changed his life, showing him the path to growth, confidence, and meaningful connection. As the festival continued around them, Jocks floated to a higher observation platform looking out over the city. The twin moons rose over Nova Gaia, casting silver light on the crystalline towers and glimmering streets. Colonists moved through the city, engaged in work, learning, and each person contributing to the thriving community. He thought about the lessons Mara had taught him: patience, empathy, courage, observation, and mentorship. Each lesson had helped him grow, and now he had the opportunity to guide others, just as she had guided him. Humans, he realized, were remarkable, not only for surviving on a distant planet, but for their ability to inspire, teach, and uplift one another. Jocks felt a sudden determination. He wanted to continue learning, continue growing, and continue helping others. Every small action, offering advice, encouraging a colleague, mentoring a young engineer, was part of a larger ripple that strengthened the colony. The human spirit, he realized, was not limited by distance, technology, or circumstance. It thrived on connection, trust, and care. Mara joined him on the platform, floating silently beside him. "You've done well, Jocks," she said softly. "But remember, the journey never ends. There will always be more to learn, more ways to help, more people to inspire." Jocks nodded. "I understand, and I will. I want to keep building, learning, and helping others, just like you showed me." Mara's smile deepened, the same warm, knowing smile from months ago. That's all anyone could hope for. Keep believing in yourself and in the people around you. That is how humanity shines. The festival lights reflected in Jocks' eyes as he looked over the bustling colony. He saw people teaching, learning, sharing, and working together. He saw moments of kindness, patience, and courage everywhere. And he understood that this connection, empathy, guidance, and trust was the true heart of human achievement. Later, as the festival wound down and the colonists returned to their quarters, Jocks lingered in the plaza, reflecting on the journey that had begun with an awkward comment, a simple smile, and the patient guidance of a remarkable mentor. He thought of Mara, Lyra, and every colonist he had worked with. He realized that humans could shine brightest when they supported each other, celebrated each other's successes, and nurtured potential. Finally, Jocks drifted toward his quarters, the twin moons casting a gentle glow over the city. He felt a profound sense of purpose and belonging. He understood that life on Nova Gaia was not just about surviving or achieving. It was about connection, empathy, and the courage to lift others up. As he lay down to rest, he smiled, thinking of Mara's original smile and the lessons it had brought. It had been more than encouragement. It had been a spark igniting his journey toward growth, confidence, and contribution. And Jocks knew, with certainty, that he would carry that spark forward, helping others see the remarkable potential of humanity. In every small act of guidance, kindness, and support, humans had the power to shine, even in the farthest reaches of space, and under the light of Nova Gaia's moons. Jocks felt hope, pride, and determination. Humanity was extraordinary not because of technology, cities, or achievements alone, but because people could inspire, nurture, and uplift one another. And it all began with a single smile.